Israel's relationships around the world have been complex since its establishment in 1948, and several countries have had ongoing disputes or opposition toward it for various political, religious, or cultural reasons. In this video, we'll explore the top 10 countries that hate Israel in 2024, discussing the historical context, political issues, and recent developments shaping these dynamics. Disclaimer: this video is for educational purposes only and is meant to offer an informed, neutral perspective on complex international relations. It's important to approach these topics with an open mind and an understanding of the nuanced political landscape. Let's begin. Kicking off our list, and probably no surprise, is Iran. If you know anything about Middle Eastern politics, you'll know that Iran and Israel are about as far from friends as two nations can get. Iran's opposition to Israel began in earnest after the 1979 Islamic Revolution. With the rise of the Ayatollah Khomeini, Israel was declared an enemy of Islam, and ever since then, Iran's leaders have publicly condemned Israel at every opportunity. Iran refers to Israel as the Zionist regime and consistently calls for its destruction. Iranian leaders believe Israel's very existence is illegitimate and have supported a range of militant groups that also oppose Israel. The most prominent of these groups is Hezbollah, a powerful militia based in Lebanon that has engaged in numerous conflicts with Israel. In 2024, the hostility between these two nations has only grown deeper. Iran's pursuit of nuclear capabilities, while claiming it's for peaceful purposes, has alarmed Israel, leading to escalating tensions. Diplomatic efforts to ease this tension, including international negotiations, have largely failed, and many fear that conflict between Israel and Iran is inevitable. For the people of both nations, this opposition has very real consequences. While government leaders wage war with words and actions, it's often ordinary citizens who feel the pressure, caught in the middle of a decades-long feud with no clear end in sight. Next on the list is Lebanon, a small country with a complex history when it comes to Israel. Although Lebanon's government is often more focused on its own internal struggles, its relationship with Israel is heavily influenced by the presence of Hezbollah, a militant and political group that has declared itself an enemy of Israel. Hezbollah operates out of southern Lebanon, just a stone's throw from Israel's northern border. Over the years, Hezbollah has launched multiple attacks on Israeli targets, leading to several armed conflicts between the two. The most significant of these was the 2006 Lebanon War, a bloody and destructive conflict that left both sides reeling. But why does Hezbollah, and by extension Lebanon, oppose Israel so strongly? The roots of this hostility can be traced back to the Israeli occupation of southern Lebanon during the 1980s and 1990s. Many Lebanese, especially in the Shiite Muslim community, see Israel as an occupying force and blame it for much of Lebanon's instability. As of 2024, the official stance of the Lebanese government is not as aggressively anti-Israel as Iran, for example. However, Hezbollah's influence in Lebanese politics and society makes it virtually impossible for the country to move toward normalization with Israel. Until the power dynamics within Lebanon shift, it's unlikely that relations between the two countries will improve anytime soon. Moving on to Syria, a country that has been in a state of war with Israel since 1948. Yes, you heard that right. Since the very creation of Israel, Syria has refused to recognize the Jewish state and has fought in multiple wars against it, most notably the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, the Six-Day War in 1967, and the Yom Kippur War in 1973. One of the key points of contention between these two nations is the Golan Heights, a strategically important region that Israel captured from Syria during the Six-Day War. Despite international calls for Israel to return the Golan Heights to Syria, Israel has maintained control over the area, citing security concerns. This territorial dispute is a major reason for Syria's continued opposition to Israel. But the situation goes deeper than just borders. Syria, like many Arab nations, supports the Palestinian cause and has long been a vocal critic of Israel's treatment of Palestinians. Although the ongoing Syrian civil war has weakened the country's ability to confront Israel directly, Syria's alliance with Iran and Hezbollah ensures that it remains a key player in the broader opposition to Israel. In 2024, Syria is still rebuilding from years of conflict, but the anti-Israel sentiment remains deeply ingrained in both its leadership and its people. Any prospect of peace between Syria and Israel seems a distant dream, as the legacy of past wars and territorial disputes continues to overshadow any diplomatic efforts. Turkey's relationship with Israel has been a rollercoaster over the years. At one time, the two nations had a relatively close relationship, especially when compared to other Muslim-majority countries. But under the leadership of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, Turkey has become increasingly critical of Israel, particularly when it comes to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. While Turkey maintains diplomatic relations with Israel, there has been a noticeable shift in recent years toward a more confrontational stance. Erdogan has frequently condemned Israeli actions in Gaza and the West Bank, accusing Israel of human rights abuses against Palestinians. Turkey's support for the Palestinian cause has made it one of the more vocal critics of Israel on the international stage. This tension peaked in 2010 with the infamous Gaza flotilla incident, where Israeli commandos raided a Turkish-led humanitarian aid convoy bound for Gaza. The resulting deaths of Turkish citizens led to a serious diplomatic rift between the two nations, and while relations have somewhat normalized since then, the underlying tensions remain. In 2024, Turkey continues to oppose many of Israel's policies, especially those related to the Palestinians. While the two countries still cooperate on certain issues, such as trade and regional security, their political relationship is far from stable. With Erdogan still in power, it's likely that Turkey's opposition to Israel will remain a key feature of its foreign policy for the foreseeable future. Iraq is another country that has been opposed to Israel since the very beginning. Iraqi forces fought against Israel in both the 1948 Arab-Israeli War and the 1973 Yom Kippur War, and Iraq has never recognized Israel as a legitimate state. While Iraq has faced its own internal struggles, including years of war and the rise of extremist groups like ISIS, its stance on Israel has remained largely unchanged. Even after the fall of Saddam Hussein and the establishment of a new government, Iraq continues to support the Palestinian cause and refuses to engage diplomatically with Israel. In 2024, the political landscape in Iraq remains hostile to Israel. Iraqi leaders frequently criticize Israeli actions in the region, particularly when it comes to the treatment of Palestinians. And despite some efforts by the international community to encourage normalization between Iraq and Israel, the deep-rooted opposition in Iraq's political system makes this an unlikely prospect. For many Iraqis, opposition to Israel is not just a matter of politics, it's tied to their identity as part of the broader Arab and Muslim world. Until there's a major shift in the region's geopolitical landscape, Iraq's opposition to Israel is likely to continue for years to come. Pakistan has long been a vocal critic of Israel, and it is one of the few countries in the world that has never recognized Israel's existence. The reasons for this opposition are deeply rooted in Pakistan's religious and political identity. As a majority Muslim nation, Pakistan has consistently aligned itself with the Palestinian cause, viewing the Israeli-Palestinian conflict through the lens of Islamic solidarity. Pakistani leaders have frequently spoken out against Israel's actions in Gaza and the West Bank, and the country's media often portrays Israel in a negative light. In 2024, Pakistan's stance remains unchanged. While some in the international community have speculated about the possibility of Pakistan normalizing relations with Israel, particularly in light of other Muslim-majority countries doing so in recent years, the political climate in Pakistan makes this highly unlikely. For the Pakistani government and its people, opposition to Israel is not just about foreign policy, it's about standing in solidarity with Muslims around the world, particularly the Palestinians. This position is unlikely to change anytime soon, especially as Pakistan continues to navigate its own internal challenges. Yemen, a country ravaged by civil war, is another nation that has historically opposed Israel. While Yemen's ongoing conflict has dominated its political landscape in recent years, its opposition to Israel has not wavered. Like many Arab countries, Yemen's stance on Israel is heavily influenced by its support for the Palestinian cause. Yemen has never recognized Israel and has consistently condemned its actions in the region. In 2024, Yemen's political instability makes it difficult to predict the future of its relationship with Israel. However, the deep-seated anti-Israel sentiment within Yemeni society suggests that even if For Algeria, opposition to Israel is not just about foreign policy, it's about standing in solidarity with the Palestinian people.